Hello, everyone. This is Mike from Dimensional Walking. And today we're going to talk about, I'm going to title this one, Alien Abductions, UFOs, and an Air Traffic Controller, and my friend Harry. Okay, did you get that? There'll be a test afterwards. So anyways, for many years, my main income gig has been logistics. Okay, so I ran a lot of warehouses. I worked at the Olympics. I did a lot of traffic and transportation things, and I did that for many, many, many years. So anyways, so while I was doing that, I, of course, ran facilities, so I had to hire a lot of people. And probably, over all those years of 50 some years, I hired probably, 100, probably hundreds, well, probably closer to thousands of people over that time frame. And that opportunity led me, at least in my later years, to have conversations with people about paranormal things. And because of that, I'm going to be telling you, and have told you in the past, some really interesting stories about people that have had encounters with paranormal type things, UFO, paranormal, Sasquatch, dogmen, you name it, they've had encounters with some pretty amazing things. And that, of course, has kind of strengthened my theory that everybody, maybe not everybody, but, a large percent of our population has had some type of alien or paranormal, otherworldly encounter. So anyways, let's talk about one of those people named Harry. And so he was an ex-military guy, and I believe he came from South Carolina, and this employment, etc., happened in Atlanta, Georgia. One of the cats here, I guess, is really hungry, but that's the way it's going to have to go. But I will get, as soon, I promise all cat lovers, I will get our little cat fed as soon as I'm finished here. So anyways, she normally doesn't do that. Anyways, but she's a sweet little girl. So Harry, sometimes we used to call him Jerry, but his real name was Harry. I think maybe his middle name was Jerry. But anyways, Harry, he was an ex-military guy, and everybody liked him. Everybody liked Harry. So he would, we would sit and talk about various things that he had done in his life, and he had done a lot of really interesting things. There's another couple of stories just dawned on me when I said that I'll have to include in another video, because there was one extremely amazing story about one was about Area 51 and one was about Roswell, which was really cool. But anyways, these are still cool stories too. So anyways, the first story I'm going to tell you is, I'm going to call it the couch problem. Okay, so when Harry would come home, he would chill out on the couch, and if he wanted to be really relaxed and lay back, he would have a beer. Okay, one cold tall beer. Okay, and that would pretty much relax him. So anyways, but if he wanted to be relaxed plus be kind of on the alert, he would do a dark coffee and a Bailey's, which I personally do like. I drink quite a few. Well, I don't want to say quite a few of them, but if I go out, or if, like a nightcap or something, I'll have a Bailey's and a dark coffee, a black coffee. So anyways, what he would do is typically would just sit in his living room and have the beer or have the coffee and Bailey's. And there's been many occasions, I don't think he ever told me how many, but he would be sitting there and just suddenly pass out. Now, you probably know, if you ever had a beer, you don't pass out after one beer or after a Bailey's and a coffee. It just not doesn't happen. And he was not a drinker. He really wasn't. You know, we'd go out and he maybe have a couple beers. That'd be max. So anyways, he knew something was going on after a while. And some of the reasons he knew it was going on was that he would always look at his clothing. And sometimes his shirts were buttoned squirrely. Sometimes he would have his underwear over his pants. Okay, that's pretty crazy, right? His shirt backwards. One time he told me that his sock was over his shoes. One of his socks. It was almost like they put it over the shoes and then they said, I don't think so, but didn't know exactly what to do about it. So anyway, so here's the cat. So the cat is, going to try to really kind of push me here, it looks like, to get things done. Okay, that's enough. Can't eat my hair. Get down. Good girl. Yeah. So anyways, so he knew after experiencing a couple of these things that, and he said that about 50% of the time, his shoes were opposite, backwards, I guess you'd say it. And it's sort of like the same thing if you blindfold yourself and grab the shoe and put it on. You had a 50-50 chance to get it right. Well, whoever was abducting him, it was never right. I mean, it was right 50% of the time. So anyways, that was his indicator. Now, he didn't immediately remember where he was, what happened to him, right? But he did have flashbacks, sometimes in dreams, sometimes the next day, of otherworldly places, other type of beings of different sorts. But this was constant through his life. He was getting abducted, and it seems like, and then the other thing they would do, I just remember this, they would always, if he was sitting in this chair here, his favorite chair, sometimes he'd end up on another chair. And he always had a favorite chair. So that was his go-to chair for his beer or his coffee. And he would start there, because that would be more indicators that he was actually taken when he woke back up again, or when they brought him back. Not when he woke up. For the most part, I think they were physically taking him. So anyways, that was number one, the couch problem. Number two was he would take some road trips. He used to live in St. Louis, and he used to take road trips to friend's house or relative's house, 100 or 200 miles away from St. Louis. And at least 3 times he told me, he said, I remember going towards my friend's house on the interstate highway, and suddenly he ended up opposite. He ended up 150 miles in the opposite direction. And he said that happened several times. So my guess is either taking him out of his car or taking the whole dang car and him somewheres to be abducted. Now, he said on those, he did not remember a whole lot. He seems to remember, the only thing he did remember, I believe, was that he felt himself going through the roof of the car and floating up somewhere. And that was pretty much it, if I remember correctly. But anyways, that's kind of number 2. Number 3, we're going to call this one Boys Camping Out. So, Jerry would tell me about some of his experiences, etc. And then he said, well, I have this really beautiful piece of property in North Carolina that I've had for a very long time, and it's really isolated, and it's very, very cool. And so he said, I go up there sometimes camping, would you like to come along and we'll see what we can see? Because like he said, he would see a lot of UFOs in formations. He'd always say formations. He said 4 to 6 UFOs, and it was very consistent. He said that was it. He said most of the time I go up there, he will see these. And I was like, okay, let's go. So one weekend there was 2 other guys, and we all got in the car and we got our camping stuff and we took off. And he was absolutely right. It was a gorgeous place. It had all these rhododendrons and all these beautiful plants and trees, and he had a beautiful view of Grandfather Mountain. So this is great. So it got dark at night, and sure enough, and the other thing I was going to tell you, I brought along a I think it's a 1,000,000 watt spotlight that you plug into your, into your car. I think I had a special adapter or something for the battery. I can't remember. It was a little strange thing how it worked. But anyways, it was a 1,000,000 watt spotlight, which seems bizarre, but it was really a tremendous spotlight. You could spot things a long, long ways away. So anyways, I had learned about certain kind of protocols, how to, blink the lights and do all this stuff and help, maybe bring down UFOs or bring them down to, where you can see them a little closer. So that's what I did. I took it out. We saw 4 of them. There were 4 of them right there. And they were moving around and then they stopped. And so anyways, I started doing my little protocol thing. It was pretty cool. And suddenly, and everybody saw this. This is all 4 guys. Suddenly they moved in together. They moved in a little closer and they just kind of like, we're there. And I kept on doing it and they moved in a little closer. And then finally they moved in a little closer and I kept on working it. And then suddenly that was it. We all don't remember anything, where it was completely blank. We all remember we had a great night's sleep, and we all remember when we woke up in the morning, probably about 8-9 hours later, because we were up pretty late. So it's probably 8 in the morning we woke up. So anyways, okay, no, get down. So anyways, we talked about it. We said, we remember looking at the UFOs, and we remembered the blinking. We remember coming closer, but that was it. We didn't. We laughed about it a little bit. We said, "Oh, we're probably been abducted, et cetera, et cetera." Well, we don't know, but there is a chance something happened. Now, it seemed like they were probably within 1,000 feet of us. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Harry said, it looked like it was 1,000 feet to him. And the reason I say that, I always tell people, if you think the object is within 1,000 feet of you, you're probably going to get abducted. I don't know why. I think it was from the years of all the people I've talked to about alien abductions. And when they described the distances, they thought they were from the UFO. Whenever it was 500, 1,000, whatever, typically they always had this greater experiences. And people had said, "Oh, well, it was like a mile away, or it was like way out there." Typically, they don't have any further experiences besides, they saw it. That was pretty much it. So anyways, that was that. We really didn't talk much about it. Going in the past, we didn't really have a conversation about it. So anyways, that was our fun camping trip. We all had a great time. The next one is kind of the last, but I will call it last but not least, because I think it's a really cool story. This was Harry. Harry was, I said he was ex-military, but I needed to clarify it a little bit. He was a air traffic controller. That was his main gig with the Air Force. And he was based around the world. He was based in England. He had some stories about England and UFOs. He was based in Germany, and he was based in, I think it was Elgin. Is it Elgin, Florida? Probably pronouncing that right. I don't think that's Eglin. I'm sorry, it's Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, which is in the Panhandle. Most of you people that were military or lived in Florida and that in the Panhandle region know of that Air Force Base. I'm sure it's a very large Air Force Base. I think I've driven next to it or whatever. It seems to go on for miles and miles and miles. So anyways, so he was an air traffic controller, and he was there, let's see, mid-70s, I believe it was. And he was really liked his job. He had made some good friends, and some of these guys would kind of hang out afterwards, etc. Well, one day they were looking at their radar, and one of the guys called Harry over and said, "Hey, Harry, look at this. This really looks odd." And it was I think it was a C-30, one of those big cargo planes, was coming in for an approach, and right behind it, there was a UFO. I mean, it was right behind it, like right on its tail, right? And so they all kind of, they saw it on radar, and he said, probably looked like about 35 or 40 feet across. I mean, I guess they have ways of estimating things. So on radar. So that's how he estimated it. And he said it was there. They radioed the airplane and said, "Hey, listen, you guys got something right on your tail. Can you see anything?" And well, I don't know. You don't have a window in the back. I don't think. I'm not a plane expert, but they didn't know of anything. They couldn't see anything. So anyways, so the plane continued to land, and this UFO was right there. Okay, right there. And then suddenly, just before the final approach, I guess we'll call it, the UFO just shot straight up. Okay, and it just hovered there for a little bit, and then it started very slowly. The plane lands, no problem. The UFO approaches the about 300 feet above the tower, and it actually sits over in a tower above it. And the 5 guys that were in the air traffic control tower, they get out and they go on an observation deck, and they're standing there looking at this UFO. Now he's saying it was only maybe 300 or 400 feet above them, looking straight down on them, or right above them. So they were a little they were pretty nervous at first, because they had never seen anything like this before, although there were other UFO sightings actually from that air traffic control tower, but nothing of this close of an encounter. So they were all kind of crazy, and they're all out there, and apparently got attention of other people on the base. And they radioed and told everybody on the base that there was some I don't remember, he's got his little technical terms, what it was. I don't think they said UFO, but whatever it was, and I don't really remember all that part of it. Anyway, so they watched it, and actually it was there, he said he thought, for 20 minutes. And he knows there was people, there was film of it. We didn't, at that time in the 70s, there was cameras, of course, but there was no all the cell phone stuff. And so there wasn't any of that activity. It would have been somebody on the base with a camera, maybe, that was taking photos. But he did hear that somebody had not only gotten pictures, but gotten film of it. But he never was able to find anything else. Well, probably after 20 some minutes, I think he said it was 23 minutes, they actually took off. The UFO took off. And so anyways, it was crazy. They shut the base down. Everybody that actually saw it with their own eyes all had to be debriefed. They brought everybody together. And so it was really crazy. But anyways, it was, those 5 guys became very, very close, really great friends. And he said the weirdest thing about it is we became good friends, but we never talked about the experience. And here's another example. He said it was, and I believe him, it was about 300, maybe 200 to 300 feet, he estimated, so did everybody else, above the tower. To me, that's within the range of abduction. So my guess is they all were abducted. And no doubt they were, because with Harry there, I keep on calling him Jerry, I'm sorry, his real name was Harry, Jerry, something, I think his dad's name was Jerry. Anyways, Harry, with him being there, and he was all the little things I've already told you about Harry, chances are who knows, he may have attracted them there. I have no clue. But anyways, so that was the end of that story. And so I really miss Harry. I haven't seen him for over 20 some years, or really talked to him at all, because he was a wealth of UFO alien abduction knowledge that I kind of lost track of him. I hope he's still alive. He was probably a little older than I, so he very well still could be alive. But anyways, that's Harry. So that's it. So if you like us, please like us. Go to Dimensional Walking, A Paranormal Journey, to see some more of our videos. Please subscribe, of course. And if you have any other comments, or want to share any other stories with us, or want us to do some other aspect of the paranormal, please do. We've been doing this for extremely long time. And if you go to our video list, we have close to 70 videos now. And most of those have to do with our own personal encounters, or or like in this case with Harry, where we have kind of, I'll call it secondhand knowledge, but when we trust our sources and we vet our sources extremely well. Anyways, that's it for today. Happy trails. See you again. Bye-bye.